This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
Wherever you go in your time of service and beyond, it will always be to your credit that you wore the uniform of the United States of America. And we are so proud of you.
Sarah Palin holds our military in the highest regard. Her husband Todd does the same. We told you last week about the combat fishing tournament Todd took part in Seward, Alaska, along with his operative from Stars Earned Stripes, J.W. Cortes. Well, today Cortes is here to talk about his friend Todd Palin, as well as Chris Kyle, and much more. We're thrilled to have this true American hero, an NYPD officer, a Marine, and now an activist and actor, J.W. Cortes, coming up. Todd and Sarah Palin attend the Indy 500. We talked to Todd after the big race. Sarah Palin remembers those who paid the ultimate sacrifice on Memorial Day, and she recognizes an airline that offered support to our troops. Palin drums up support for tornado victims in Oklahoma and a big graduation ceremony in Republic, Washington. Governor Palin, the commencement speaker. Just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman. First, a former U.S. Marine, a New York police officer. He is an actor, filmmaker, and activist. He is J.W. Cortes. Really an honor to have you here, sir. You're a guy who can do it all, and we appreciate you coming on here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
A former Marine, now an actor and an activist for some great causes. Most important, a husband and a dad. The dad part is the best and the toughest, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm still looking for that SOP book somewhere. I mean,
I know. I spoke to Todd Palin about that a while back, and we both watched our kids more than most fathers, and he agreed it's the roughest job going.
It's the toughest job, and it's the most rewarding. You couldn't pay me enough to do what we do as dads, and it's a privilege. I know so many people out there who wish they could do that, and those who probably don't do that good of a job doing it. And if you're able to do the job and do it wholeheartedly, it really is a blessing, and I'm thankful for that.
Now, the nation was really introduced to you during the great show Stars Earned Stripes. You were teamed up with Todd Palin on that show as his operative. You guys did very well. How was that experience for you?
To date, it's got to be one of the most humbling, rewarding experiences of my career, both on and off a set. It's just, I don't know. I'm going to be brutally honest. When I first heard my name being mentioned, and then I heard Todd's name being mentioned, and that we would be this team, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, aesthetically, he's not a robust, muscular kind of guy. And of course, standing next to him was Terry Crews, who is, and and Layla Ali, and all these other really well-known celebrities. And here's this guy I didn't know too much about, so I didn't know what to expect. And I would say within the first hour, he shared one story with me that really kind of set the tone for our team. And he just shared with me how on one particular race, he had broken his arm, one of his Iron Dog races, which are like 2,000-mile treks. He broke his arm, didn't quit, knew that if he had went to the hospital, they would have pulled him out of the race, and there would have gone the race entirely for him and his team. Instead, he sucked it up, and he continued to march on and plays pretty well in that particular race. There I knew this is my kind of guy, and it was just great from there on.
Well, your friendship with Todd Palin now expanding. He's been so generous with his time for this show and other projects of mine, and, you're giving another insight here of what kind of guy he is. And he was so tough on Stars Earned Stripes. I know all the operatives calling him Rambo and marveling at his toughness. So, it was great to see that he could pull that off with, like you said, Cruz, a former ball player, and Ali, the boxer, and some of these others who are known for their athletic endeavors, given that Iron Dog a place there with the top sports.
And one of the things that kind of fueled the both of us, and again, it just added to this bond that we have formed over the last year or so, is that he was being driven by his son, who was at the time deployed to Afghanistan. I mean, what greater motivating factor do you need than to do a show like that for someone that you love, And then on the flip side, I was doing the same thing, not only for our veterans and our first responders, but in the back of my mind, I had my youngest son, Jonah, who's autistic, and that kind of fueled me through much of what we were going through on the show. So it was just, again, a great experience.
Well, I know you like to help the military as much as possible, and you gave back again recently and again with Todd Palin taking part in the combat fishing tournament in Seward, Alaska, and I understand you did pretty well for a New York guy.
Listen, we can't knock down these New York guys too much. You know what I'm saying? I got on the boat, and I had two main goals. My two objectives were to get up there, get on the boats, and shake as many hands as possible, and just say thank you to these servicemen and women. Really, I wanted to spend as much time as I possibly could, and at the same time, still remaining genuine. I wanted to hear their stories and impart some of my own, and that was my number one objective. Number two was get on a boat and catch a friggin' halibut, and I did, and I did. And as he came up onto the boat, I yelled fish on. They came in with the gaffs and got him on our boat. I leaned over to Todd and said, "Now I can die a happy man."
There you go. And you got a halibut and an octopus, right?
Halibut, octopus, and then some other really funky looking thing called a rockfish. So
nice showing for the Big Apple in Alaska, right?
Big Apple represents. Brooklyn was definitely in the house. I try to do it with as much swagger as I could muster up, with my wobbly feet, but I think we did okay.
People may not realize in some parts of this country, they think of some other things in New Jersey and New York, but, we have a lot of deep-sea fishing and obviously the Sound and, different areas that people may not know. So, you had a little background there, I bet.
I had a little background, yeah, and it's interesting you bring this up because one of the things that Todd and I spoke with some of the folks of Combat Fishing in Alaska is really this wonderful event, which I think we had a showing of about 280 veterans, really should be a nationwide event. It's just something that I can definitely see here in New York, New Jersey, the tri-state area, any of the coastline areas. I mean, it really is such a wonderful, wonderful event. And I think one of the most impressive things about it was how these captains donated their fuel, their boat space, their time. The crews of the boats donated their time as well. And they did it with such a smile and sense of service to these veterans. It was so impressive to see. And I would love to see the rest of America kind of catch on to what Alaska started already.
Oh, that's a great idea. What a nice event for our brave service members who otherwise wouldn't have a shot at such a great day, most of them at least.
Most of them at least. I mean, they had even mentioned to me, they confided that some of them had been in the military for some 10-odd years and said of all the places that I've been stationed to, Alaska has shown me an incredible amount of love, support, and this is just one of those events that happens so frequently here in Alaska. Alaska has shown such tremendous pride and support with only 700,000 people to the entire state. And I think here in New York and New Jersey, where we have several million, I think we can learn something from that and hopefully follow suit.
Now, you served our country as a Marine. How was that experience?
I tell people all the time, the Marine Corps saved my life. In 1993, I was, caught up in the wrong stuff here in New York City, and I found myself, really at a major crossroads, and I wound up enlisting in the Marine Corps, and I wound up loving it. I really did. I had an amazing tour of duty. Every Marine at one point or another wants to kind of test out all the training that you're kind of forced fed. And I had that opportunity, and I was honored to do so when I got the call to go into Iraq for the invasion. One of the most proudest, character-shaping, motivating, inspiring things that I've ever done in my life. And it still carries me today in my work as a police officer.
Well, thank you so much for your service on both ends.
You're very welcome. I'm honored.
Now, speaking of brave Americans, Chris Kyle, the top sniper ever, you had the privilege to know him. The world got to see him on Stars Aren't Stripes, just an engaging, real patriot. He was taken from us way too soon. The Palins attended the big memorial for Kyle, and a lot of people out there have honored him since his passing. The president, well, he hasn't yet. He's honored Jason Collins, but not Kyle. What were your impressions of him? I mean, you're a guy who has the background of military background and a guy who knows how to fire weapons pretty well, and then you see this guy Chris Kyle who couldn't miss. I mean, he could shoot anything. So, what were your impressions of him, not only from his expertise, but as a man?
As a man, I'm glad you brought that up. First and foremost, the kindest, heartwarming, good old boy, reassuring, inspiring, humble. I don't have enough words to describe the mild mannerisms of Chris Kyle. They come across so gently, so soft, yet with so much compassion and understanding. He was a human being who loved our veterans. So much so that he never hesitated to come over and just offer you a reassuring pat on the back, a soft hug of the arm, a word, or just a look. This is a man who didn't know me from a hole in the wall. I met him the first day like everybody else did on the set of Stars and Stripes. I didn't really know too much about him. I had heard the name, didn't know the face, quickly came over, started talking to me, loved the fact that I was a police officer, loved my New York accent, and never once questioned what my career was in the Marine Corps. Didn't really matter to him. All that mattered is that we were there together with one common cause, and that was to support our veterans and first responders. Chris quickly grew on me as first and foremost a man who cared about our veterans, but also so passionately loved his children. His face would light up, his eyes would light up, the biggest smile. He just wasn't going to compromise on whatever it was that needed to be done for his family. And we often found ourselves alone talking about our kids. He had two, I have two, and it was just a common ground for us, and he was incredibly supportive of the things that I want to do with Autism Speaks and other organizations, and always lent me a good word to kind of keep me on track with that. And I'm eternally thankful, and I miss him dearly.
That's very well said, and I know a special place with the Palins as well. J.W., you're a fighter for so many noble causes. You mentioned autism, which hits home with your son. Self-defense for women, that's interesting. Why are you so concerned about helping others?
I don't have a really... That's a great question. I don't know, but I find myself... It's interesting. I find myself in service a lot. It's one of those things that I've been thinking about lately, really. It comes so naturally to me. I know as a child I didn't have many opportunities at first. We were definitely on the lower income scale. I saw my parents struggle incredibly hard to raise us the right way amidst, the violence in my neighborhood of Sunset Park, Brooklyn. And I just felt that I wanted to do better. And when I found myself in a position to do so, it came very, very easily to me. And it wasn't a job. It was something that brought me a lot of joy. And today, whenever I can put a smile on someone's face through these things that I'm doing, I can't tell you the joy. It's overwhelming. And at times it causes me to be a little bit emotional. And I just want to do more, bigger, and just more frequently, that kind of work.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, and hopefully these things like Stars Earned Stripes, like these events with Todd Palin, will create those opportunities for you. And also, you've been on the big screen and on TV. You've worked with some huge names like Andy McDowell. What should we expect from J.W. Cortes now? An entertainment career? Is that the way we're going now, fully?
That's the dream. That's the dream. I'm going to give it the same level of intense focus and dedication to the craft of acting as I did at the Marine Corps and the police department. I think it's, again, another way of providing service, right? People go into a dark room and sit next to strangers and they watch the screen and they try to escape whatever it is that they're going through, or take a ride with a certain character. And in a lot of ways, that is a service that these actors provide, and I'd be more than happy to do that as well. And honestly, it's always been a childhood dream of mine. And yeah, if it helps my charity work as well, then it's a double win for me.
Well, sir, you're a great American. Good luck with everything, especially that family of yours, and a pleasure talking to you. I hope we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. Thank you so much for what you do and for sharing our stories. It's incredibly important. Thank you so much.
For more on this great patriot, head to jwcortes.com. That's jwcortes.com. The Indy 500 was star-studded as usual this year, and even more so with Todd and Sarah Palin there. A great week of sports for the Palins, from combat fishing to the Indy 500 to the Pacers Heat game they attended. We had a chance to catch up with Todd after the Indy 500, and he talked about the great experience they had as guests of racing legend Parnelli Jones. Sarah Palin posted some great photos online of her and Todd, of the cars, and of the governor with Sarah Fisher, former Indy racer and owner of Sarah Fisher Racing, in Fisher's pit during the race. A great day for the Palins, who are self-described motorheads. For more on Todd's take on the Indy 500, you can check out my article, an interview with Todd Palin, right at saranet.net, and also on Breitbart.com. Just search Kevin Scholla. On Memorial Day, Sarah Palin reminded all of us of the true meaning of that day. While barbecues and parades are great, it's a day to remember. Palin saying, quote, "With grateful hearts, Americans recognize how sweet it is to live in a country where men and women offer to serve something greater than self," unquote. When the Palins left Indiana, a nice touch from the flight attendants and crew on their U.S. Airways flight, Palin posted online that they gave heartfelt shout-outs over the intercom to our military and to veterans who've sacrificed so much for our freedom. The airline offered service members on board free food and asked us all to pass along a special thanks to those we know in the service. That is what Memorial Day is all about. After the tornado in Moore, Oklahoma, many are doing their part to help. Governor Palin is highlighting the work of From the Right Radio and Smart Girl Politics, who are raising funds through Mercury One. You can help, too. Just go to Twitter, at Sarah Palin USA. Click on the link posted. Remember, you can read all of Governor Palin's posts in their entirety on Sarah Palin's Facebook page or by following the governor on Twitter, again, at Sarah Palin USA. You heard Tyler Wire right here on the Palin Update a few weeks ago, the high school senior who, along with his class, was able to land Sarah Palin as commencement speaker. Well, that big graduation took place this past week. Sarah Palin spoke to the small class of 27 Republic Tigers, showing just how in touch with small-town America she truly is. Congratulations to Tyler and all the Republic grads. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. I woke up this morning to some newscaster bellowing about the most serious problem facing the world today. It quickly got my attention. But when I opened my eyes and focused, I realized that it wasn't a newscast. It was Morning Drive on the Golf Channel, and they were all debating the most serious problem facing the world of golf today. Guess what it is? Slow play. Yes, slow play. Now, this struck me as ridiculously funny. Out of all the problems the world faces today, and golfers are concerned about slow play, they are worried about the effect a 5-hour round of golf has on the game of golf versus a quick 4-hour round of golf. After all, golf is a business, and if people can't play quick rounds of golf, somebody will lose money. Then I got to thinking about the problems facing us and realized maybe the guys on the Golf Channel were right. Slow play is affecting us all. President Obama has used this ploy to deflect from giving us any factual information about Benghazi. His administration is slow playing the IRS scandal, hoping it will disappear. Both parties in Congress have slow played the deficit crisis for years and years now. Slow play by Washington in general is a win for those in power because eventually the public just gets tired of waiting for something to change and they lose interest. Yes, maybe the morning drive guys are right. Slow play may be the biggest problem facing not only the world of golf, but also the world in general. This is Sarah Steelman for SarahNet Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. And don't forget, the Palin Update, including Steel Resolve, is now on demand and available for download. So just head to SarahNetRadio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Visit SarahNetRadio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, follow along on Twitter at SarahNet Radio, at Kevin Scholla, and at Sarah_Steelman. We're on Facebook, too, so like SarahNet Radio and like Kevin Scholla. Palin Patriots is our new feature on SarahNet.net. Check out the writings from our great panel of contributors, including Martha Zoller. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. There you can see the articles with Todd Palin regarding the Indy 500 and the combat fishing tournament. I want to thank Sarah Steelman and everyone here at SarahNet Radio. Thanks to J.W. Cortes. And thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.